a very interesting biblical text breakthrough after an aristocrat found a treasure trove of early unseen religious texts. The Bible endured a breakthrough in the 19th century after many aristocrats, and especially this one here, came across a treasure trove of early unseen texts inside an Egyptian hermitage, a monastery. Egypt offered archaeologists and historical researchers many relics, ancient relics, and secrets of the ancient world, and these finds consist of ancient artifacts like mummified remains and statues. But in the 19th century, Robert Curzon found something that would change our understanding of the Bible forever. The aristocrat left what he saw as the dreariness of Britain, and there were many Britons who had gone to Egypt and found quite a few ancient early Christian writings, texts. So he left Britain in the early 1830s in search of an exotic North Africa in which he hoped to find clues about Christianity in the Bible, and he did. He arrived in Alexandria, Egypt in 1833, and Curzon knew that the country held earlier records about Christianity and the Holy Bible that had ever been found. By 300 AD, Alexandria was one of the greatest Christian centers because of the fact that Palestine was being persecuted. A lot of Christians and saints went into the area of Egypt to have more religious freedom. So to put things into perspective, at around the same time in the UK, Christianity was illegal and would not become legal within the boundaries of the Roman Empire for another 14 years in the middle of the 300s. Please support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. It was at the time of King Constantine. He was one of the 2 Roman emperors. King Constantine is the one who allowed freedom of religion for the Christians around 325 AD. So Curzon knew that Egypt held some of Christianity's earliest monasteries, and by extension, the religious earliest texts. His journey and discoveries explored during the Smithsonian Channel documentary, Bible Hunters Search for the Truth. Dr. Jeff Rose, an archaeologist who presented the show, notes how the monastic movement began in Egypt. He said monks who had gone out to the desert to live in solitude banded together in self-sufficient communities, and those became, in fact, the first monasteries. One of the well-known saints who lived there was Saint Anthony the Great. So he went on to say one of the oldest monasteries in Egypt, in the world, is the Syrian monastery 90 miles west of Cairo. In 1834, it took Curzon, he said, nearly 2 days to reach it by boat and camel. Today, it's less than 2 hours away by bike. Founded in the 6th century AD, the monastery was known for its wall paintings, its murals, and its library of precious manuscripts. And when Curzon visited the library, he found the place in complete disarray, with manuscripts just littered all over the floor. Many of these ancient texts had since been burned by poor Egyptians with no money fuel. However, some of the ancient texts had been salvaged and kept under lock and key. Certain that this was the case, Curzon plied a blind monk with liquor and managed to coax him into showing him the secret library in the monastery. And he was right. The monk took him deep inside the library's vaults where the texts were kept. And as Dr. Rose explained, inside the room, Curzon found a treasure trove, the dusty pages of some of the earliest dated Bible texts in existence. He found fully bound Christian manuscripts as well as several gospel fragments, all written in ancient Syriac, the language similar to what Jesus spoke, Aramaic language. The texts date back to the 4th century AD. Dr. Rose continued explaining, Curzon also stumbled upon a surprise. It was a biblical text, the Acts of Peter and Paul, which was never included in the Bible. Well, you know, the Acts of Paul, written by St. Luke, okay? But and St. Luke, who wrote one of the Gospels, but this is the Acts of Peter and Paul, never included in the Bible. So we should find where that is and start reading it. Anyway, he said, at the time, questions about why this Christian text was omitted led to speculation among scholars about the accuracy of the Bible. In 1838, Curzon was hungry for more answers, and he set out on a second expedition. At this time, he visited Mount Athos in Greece, which has 20 monasteries, an important center of Eastern Orthodox monasticism, before crossing over into Egypt once more and making several purchases. Of course, Mount Athos has a lot of monasteries with tremendous libraries. One of the areas that is very common for tourists in Greece is the island of Patmos, where St. John the Theologian, the beloved disciple of Christ, wrote the book of Revelation, the Apocalypse, and that has a tremendous ancient library of texts. Now, going back to this, Curzon published his journals in his book Visit to the Monasteries in the Levant, and engaged huge traction, and by 1881, Curzon had completed a further 6 expeditions to the Levant and the surrounding region of the Holy Land. His finds were viewed as breakthroughs in modern understanding of Christianity and culminated in the British Museum's acquisition of the collection of Nitrian manuscripts. So we have to find out where this Acts of Peter and Paul are. This is by Joel Day of Express UK. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support.